Ever since the Detroit Red Wings declared themselves as sellers prior to the 2017 NHL Trade Deadline, general manager Ken Holland has made good on his word to rebuild the organization through the draft. In that time, the longtime GM has stockpiled picks and prospects while sending veterans and rentals out. After years of building for right now, Holland is now thinking of the future and positioning the Red Wings for another long playoff streak and a shot, or multiple chances, to bring the Stanley Cup back to Hockeytown. Since 1997, Ken Holland has been calling the shots in Hockeytown. Photo by Dave Sanford, NHL via Getty Images. With the 2019 NHL Trade Deadline approaching, more moves can be expected. The Red Wings have a number of rental players available and prospects pushing for NHL jobs. Should fans trust Holland to complete yet another trade? Let's find out how he's fared since the rebuild plan was first decreed and see for ourselves. Jurco sent packing trade. Detroit trades Tomas Jurco to the Chicago Blackhawks for a 2017 third-round pick. Keith Petruzzelli. Analysis: this swap looked good the moment it hit Twitter. It looked even better after the Red Wings nabbed a potential franchise goalie with the pick they acquired for Jurco, who didn't seem to have a future with the organization and has since been non-tendered by Chicago. Grade: a Mr. Smith goes to New York trade. Detroit trades Brendan Smith to the New York Rangers for a 2017 third-round pick, Zach Gallant, and a 2018 second-round pick, Jonathan Berggren. Brendan Smith did not last long in New York after signing a contract extension. Amy Irvin, The Hockey Writers. Analysis: so far, so good. After a promising start to his career, Smith never developed into a top-4 defenseman that Detroit had envisioned. Instead of committing nearly $4 million per year to a depth player, the Red Wings traded him for 2 solid picks. Berggren, no. 5-ranked prospect, alone would have a nice return for Smith, who spent time in the minors the following season after re-signing with the Rangers that offseason. Grade: a Van Eck visits the Sunshine State trade. Detroit trades Thomas Van Eck to the Florida Panthers for Dylan McIlrath and a 2017 third-round pick, Casper Kotkaniemi. Analysis: considering the returns for Jurco and Smith, it was puzzling to see Van Eck traded for an all-defenseman and a third-rounder. The reality is that this was the best offer Holland received for the rental forward despite his impressive season to that point: 38 points in 48 games. Hopefully Kotkaniemi, no. 53-ranked prospect, can develop into a defensive-minded NHLer after a few more seasons at Boston University and swing this trade more in Detroit's favor. Grade: C. Ott shipped to Montreal trade. Detroit trades Steve Ott to the Montreal Canadiens for a 2018 6th-round pick, Tim Berni. Steve Ott ended up being a solid sign-and-trade forward for the Red Wings. Dennis Wersbicki, USA Today Sports. Analysis: a valuable presence in the locker room, Ott was a nice rental for the Red Wings. The draft pick acquired for the veteran forward was later flipped to the Columbus Blue Jackets at the 2018 NHL Draft for a 5th-rounder in 2019. Essentially acquiring a 5th-round pick for 11 games of Ott, who's now an assistant coach with the St. Louis Blues, was a shrewd move by Holland. Grade: a McCollum reunion trade. Detroit trades a conditional 2018 7th-round pick not exercised to the Calgary Flames for Tom McCollum. Analysis: McCollum never appeared in a game for the Red Wings this past season, so Detroit didn't need to send any compensation to the Flames. In Grand Rapids, the veteran netminder helped the Griffins reach the playoffs after starter Jared Cora was called up to the Hockeytown. Grade: B. Sheehan sent to the Steel City trade. Detroit trades Riley Sheehan and a 2018 5th-round pick, Justin Almeida, to the Pittsburgh Penguins for Scott Wilson and a 2018 3rd-round pick, Jesper Eliasson. Riley Sheehan has been thriving in Pittsburgh since his arrival. Amy Irvin, The Hockey Writers. Analysis: the frustration around this trade centered on Sheehan's lack of development and Detroit's wasting of a 2010 first-round pick, especially when you consider the fact that Yevgeny Kuznetsov was taken 5 picks after the big center. Sheehan's lack of production the previous season and through the first 8 games of the 2017-18 campaign was nauseating. So was Wilson's stint in Hockeytown after the deal. In a vacuum, this was a fine deal at the time. It just didn't benefit the Red Wings in any way besides moving up 45 spots in the 2018 NHL draft and cutting salary. This trade should have never happened, just like Sheehan shouldn't have nearly gone a whole season without a goal. Grade C. Sproul joined Smith trade. Detroit trades Ryan Sproul to the New York Rangers for Matt Puempel. Analysis: with Joe Higgins, Dennis Kulowski, and Filip Hronek on the way, the Red Wings found Sproul to be expendable and received a pretty good dollar for the defenseman. Puempel probably won't play for the Red Wings anytime soon, but it was a worthy gamble on a former first-round pick. Grade B. Great Scott, that was quick trade. Detroit trades Scott Wilson to the Buffalo Sabres for a 2019 fifth-round pick. Analysis: for a forward who hadn't recorded a point through 20 games, a fifth-round selection was a nice pickup. However, the Red Wings probably expected more out of Wilson, who had produced 26 points in 78 games with Pittsburgh the year before. Like the Sheehan trade, it was acceptable in a vacuum, but shouldn't have ever happened. Grade C. Mrazek's 10-year ends trade. Detroit trades Petr Mrazek to the Philadelphia Flyers for a conditional 2018 fourth-round pick, exercised, became a third-round pick, Seth Barton, and a conditional 2019 third-round pick, not exercised. It was the same result in Philadelphia for Petr Mrazek, started hot then fell back to earth. Amy Irvin, The Hockey Writers. Analysis: I think we're starting to see a common theme here. Like Sheehan and Wilson, Mrazek should have performed better and, thus, not been dealt. However, the third-round pick they received for a goaltender with a 2.89 goals against average was a nice acquisition. Barton is a long-term project, but has the skating and puck-moving skills to push for an NHL job one day. Still, many, including myself, thought Mrazek could become Detroit's franchise goaltender with some refinements. Grade C. Gambling on a Tatar trade. Detroit trades Tomas Tatar to the Vegas Golden Knights for a 2018 first-round pick, Joe Veleno, a 2019 second-round pick, and a 2021 third-round pick. It's still strange to see Tomas Tatar in a Vegas Golden Knights jersey. Stephen R. Sylvanie, USA Today Sports. Analysis: in the last few minutes of the 2018 NHL trade deadline, Holland pulled off a heist, with Vegas, no less. Veleno, the number 2 ranked Red Wings prospect, could join the Red Wings as soon as next season. It was tough to see Tatar go, but the return that Detroit received was well worth parting ways with the scorer. Veleno alone may have been a good swap. Getting an extra second-round pick next year and a third-rounder down the road, while opening up $5.3 million in cap space through the 2020-21 campaign, only sweetened the deal. Grade A. Coyotes wrangle Russo trade. Detroit trades Robbie Russo to the Arizona Coyotes for a conditional 2019 seventh-round pick. Analysis: similar to the Sproul deal, the Red Wings had too many defensemen between the NHL and all. Russo was made expendable and was picked up by the Arizona Coyotes for essentially nothing, as he's unlikely to reach 30 NHL games this season. While Russo didn't factor into Detroit's future, it would have been nice to get something back for his services. Grade C. Final word. Overall, Holland did a great job acquiring draft picks for players who didn't factor into the long term. While Sheehan, Mrazek, and others didn't pan out as hoped, at least Detroit got something useful in return for them. Plus, you can't blame Holland for their lack of NHL progress, that's on the coaching staff. As the Red Wings continue on with their rebuild, Holland has shown the competency to make the right moves. His recent 2-year extension is evidence that ownership believes that as well. He'll do just fine with the next few swaps that come to fruition. Grade B.